listening to the Full Court Press with your host, Drew Duncan. Don't you dare touch that dial. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Full Court Press. I am your host, Drew Duncan. Don't forget Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram is all at Drew Duncan 83. Additionally, you can tell Alexa to play the Full Court Press by Drew Duncan on Spreaker Radio. Before we get into all the people out there who can't wait to say Tom Brady's not the GOAT, Joe Montana is, Montana never lost up your Super Bowl game, Tom Brady didn't make the catch, Tom Brady this, Tom Brady that, Tom Brady's overrated, Bill Belichik can't win if they don't cheat, the refs want their money back, all this. Before we do that, can we please try to give the Philadelphia Eagles just a little bit of credit? See, that's why the Eagles were the underdogs, and that's what makes the Patriots the greatest dynasty in the history of probably all of sports, with maybe the exception of the early on Boston Celtics and Bill Russell, who won 11 titles. Other than that, what other dynasty can you really think of that is superior to what Tom Brady and the New England Patriots have done? Granted, Michael Jordan, 6 titles in X amount of years, even after taking a layoff. I might accept that argument. But in terms of football, in basketball, you've got maybe some comparisons, but in football, there's no way in hell. That's why they're the defending champs. And that's why they're as great as they are, because nobody's going to give Philadelphia credit. They're all going to try and figure out a way to downplay Tom Brady's career. They're all going to try and figure out a way to downplay Bill Belichick. They're all going to try and figure out a way to dissect it and say, well, Josh McDaniels was leaving, Patricia was leaving, the coordination wasn't there anymore, the guys weren't really in the game. Tom Brady was too old. He's not really the greatest. I'm not going to talk about anything about what the Philadelphia Eagles did. You're not going to talk about how great Nick Foles was in that game, the poise, he stayed calm under pressure. I'm not going to discuss that. That's not going to be the storyline, is it? And that should upset any true football fan. Should make you angry. You know why it should upset you? You know why it should make your blood absolutely boil? Because that's not the way that we should be able to view the game. We shouldn't just say that one team was just ultimately bad and the other team was ultimately just a little bit better. Because these were the two best teams in the NFL throughout the season, and they ended up in the Super Bowl when so many people said, I'm not ready to anoint Eagles and the Patriots in the Super Bowl yet. Especially after Carson Wentz went down. No chance in hell, right? I'm not going to give you the numbers. I'm not going to give you the stats. The bottom line is when the game was on the line, Nick Foles performed offensively, and the Philadelphia Eagles defense were the defense that ultimately made the plays that won the football game. New England Patriots defense made some plays, especially that tip drill interception down inside the red zone that gave the Eagles or the Patriots the ball. And Tom Brady took it down for a long drive and a score. When it's all said and done, the Patriots are going to look back on this and they're going to say that they probably should have won the football game because they left a lot of points on the field. Missed field goal, missed extra point, just couldn't quite finish it. You know, in the first half, New England had a lot of yards, but didn't have the points to back up the yards that they gained. See, I'm not a New England Patriots apologist. I'm just telling you exactly what happened. And what happened is they left points on the board. And, of course, everybody's going to bring up they didn't want Philly to win. All the Patriots fans, people that were rooting against Philly, they are going to allude to the catch that Clements made in the back of the end zone. And I'm going to tell you that when he first caught the football, he had his left foot down and then his right foot down, and then he had possession. He made a one-step football move. Now, the rules, as far as I know, are a two-step and or a football move, but he made a football move by trying to move the ball over into his other arm. Was it a catch? You know, some people will tell you that the New England Patriots have been the beneficiary of flaky rules for a long time and good calls from the officials. And so some people may look at that and say, well, they had it coming. But even without that touchdown, when you start to break down the points, Philly still would have come away with a victory. And I think that's the bottom line, is the better team was going to win today no matter what, and that better team was the Philadelphia Eagles. I know that a lot of people are going to talk about how basically the Eagles disrespected and smacked the New England Patriots in the mouth by running that play with Nick Foles down inside the red zone where he caught that touchdown pass after Brady had missed that catch. But, Tom Brady doesn't get paid to be a wide receiver. Did you know that? Well, neither does Nick Foles. But it wasn't the greatest throw in the world either. And for a guy who doesn't spend his days route running or working on route trees or angles or different ways to catch the ball, for a guy who's had an injured hand and a glove on the other and played uncomfortable with all kinds of injuries, and at age 40, if it's not a perfect throw, Tom Brady's going to miss it. And I got to tell you, that was a ballsy call by Bill Belichik in the first place, because you just risked everything on your 40-year-old quarterback, knowing that the Philadelphia Eagles have a defense that plays smack-you-in-the-mouth football. If you don't believe me, then you can ask Cooks about that. Because even before Cooks got hurt on that ruthless hit, there was a play down inside the red zone where he tried to jump over McLeod Jr., and I thought he was going to get power bombed. And how about that Eagles defense at the end of the game? At the beginning of the game, they played great. In the middle part of the football game, they didn't play so well. The pace that the New England Patriots set they just kept coming at them, and they were ruthless, and they did really good things like, hey, we're going to run to the line and act like no huddle, so that way they can't switch anybody out and they can't substitute, and then, really quick, we're going to huddle. Well, now the defense is already on the field. They don't know how long they're going to have, if they're going to be able to substitute or not. So the Patriots are able to make a play call that they feel is best from there. But, the thing about it is often as we talk about an offensive line being dominant up front, just wearing down a defensive line, sometimes the antithesis is true, or the reverse, I guess you could say, in that the offensive line could be on the field for so long and they're getting bull rushed and hammered up front by big men like Cox and Graham that eventually their legs are going to turn into rubber too. And they were just as tired at the end of that game, and that's why that play happened where Tom Brady fumbled the football. And I think that obviously should allude to the stamina, the physical preparation that they knew. Because both teams were running the football extraordinarily well in this game. Both teams had over 100 yards on the ground. In terms of being able to do creative play calling, I think the Philadelphia Eagles were masterminds with different types of run plays. We saw inside counter plays, outside counter plays. We saw sweeps. We saw straight up the middle runs. And there was a lot of patience from Ajayi and Blunt. And how about Clements in this game? Just playing physical, being there however you need him as a wide receiver, as a running back. Guys were making blocks on James Harrison. Those running backs for the Philadelphia Eagles really stepped up and provided something that isn't going to be talked about a lot, and that is extra protection for Nick Foles. And if you ask me, the running backs, as great as Nick Foles played, because I'm going to tell you what, he dropped some dimes. Like that throw to Alshon Jeffrey in between three defenders on that little wheel route towards the outside. It was a deep wheel route. Or that dime he dropped into Clements on that controversial touchdown pass. Some of the throws that he made in the coverage were just, you wonder how the ball even got there. And it wasn't predicated upon reaction time from the New England Patriots all the time. There were times when they were in position, they had their arms out it just got there before they could. You can call it timing, whatever you want. Nick Foles was the better man. But this was one of the great, truly amazing duels that I think we've ever really seen in a Super Bowl. You could maybe take it as far back as John Elway and Phil Simms, and a lot of people will go, that game was a blowout. But as far as quarterback duel goes, John Elway actually put up better numbers in that game than Phil Simms did, but Phil Simms was more efficient. And when you look at this game with Nick Foles and Tom Brady, you would probably say the same, because until Rob Gronkowski really got going in the second half, once again, had the yards, but they didn't have the numbers on the scoreboard to back it up. And a lot of that had to do with the containment on Rob Gronkowski. Doug-Pederson really made some gutsy play calls in this game. going for it on fourth down when there was, still 6 minutes left to go in the game on your side of the 50-yard line. I mean, that was a huge risk, and that was a great play by Foles. Getting out of pressure, man in his face, makes a great throw, then it's a great catch, and they get the first down. See, hopefully somewhere, somebody with a level head has all of those things as a narrative. Not Tom Brady's overrated, not Tom Brady isn't the GOAT. You don't go to 8 Super Bowls and then tell me that somebody's overrated. Not with all the player changes, not with all the coaching changes, not with all the rule changes, not with all the injuries. You don't get to tell me that. What you can tell me is that at Super Bowl 52, the Philadelphia Eagles were the better football team, and I'll take that. That's an okay statement. I'll work with that any day of the week. You can even come at me and say, look, man, the New England Patriots were great, but, I got to give it to Philly. I'm willing to take that. Tom Brady's the GOAT, but on this day, Nick Foles was just ready. The guy was thinking about quitting football. He's been a backup, a journeyman basically in this league. He goes to a Super Bowl and plays like the guy's been doing it for 10 years. He played at Tom Brady's level. And even though Carson Wentz is the franchise guy, which was made very evident with the after Super Bowl speech, Nick Foles is now going to be a starter somewhere in this league. And he has proven that without a shadow of a doubt, he can win games. He's got the deep ball throw. He's got the poise. I mean, you could tell, man, Nick Foles did nothing over the last 2 weeks but sit in a room and study. Whenever he had free time, all he did was watch game film. He was very well prepared. During all the pregame stuff, one of the things that they talked about was Doug-Pederson and Nick Foles and the conversations that they had about putting in plays that Nick Foles was comfortable with, and Foles giving him, hey, man, I want these plays run early and often, and they worked. And I'm watching that thinking, why would you just put that out there for the Patriots to see? But the play calling, the diversity of it, the different routes that they ran, I mean, they tried a lot of sneaky stuff, and it worked. They were very aggressive for the entire part of the football game. And they found the balance between the run and the pass, and that was the main thing. I mean, look, if you're going to beat New England, you can't be a one-dimensional football team. Everybody talked about this run-pass option, and they did a few of those plays, but for the most part, they were giving New England straight-up looks. It's just that they ran plays within those looks that were complex. You're giving them one look, something completely different happens, they're not ready for it. That was the great thing about the Philadelphia Eagles offense throughout. There was really never a moment when they seemed to be afraid, even when New England took the lead late in that game. And, of course, a lot of people are going, oh, here goes Tom Brady again. They just were calm. They were cool. They didn't look scared. I mean, that was it. They were not afraid to face the New England Patriots. The only reason why people were rooting for them was just because they didn't want New England to win another Super Bowl. That's all there was to it. And for Nick Foles tonight, get the jitters even after that interception, for Alshon Jeffrey to keep going the way that he did. I mean, they put it together and they figured out how to win a game of football. I mean, that's really what it boiled down to. I mean, what we saw today was very collegiate, go for it, gritty, in your face, a lot of smash mouth, finesse, same time type football. I mean, there was just everything. Anything that you could ever want out of a Super Bowl, you got that today. I mean, there was never a moment when you could really turn away from the television because it was never boring. Even at 22-12, you're thinking, it still feels close being that it's New England. And it was the right way to feel, obviously. New England comes right out in the second half, boom, right down the field, touchdown. If you need a bottom line as to why the Philadelphia Eagles won the game, it was because of a lot of the effort plays that I talked about during the course of the playoffs that they made. Just refusals to go down, great spin moves, the way that they position their body, minimize the turnovers. Nick Foles getting out of the pocket, guys breaking off their routes, jumping to make catches, doing whatever it took, getting an extra yard or two here and there. Patience, running the football, not trying to do too much. Just let your blockers block, follow them where you need to go, and then take it from there. Effort plays. Effort up front on the line of scrimmage, dominating. Effort with blocking from your running backs. Effort from your quarterback, never giving up on plays. Effort from your wide receivers, even though there's guys right on top of them, there's 3 men around them, the concentration. Effort plays. And tonight, the Philadelphia Eagles made more effort plays. The fumble that they forced with Tom Brady, effort play. The game is on the line. You're tired. You're worn out. Physically and mentally, emotionally, you're beat down at this point from 2 weeks of people being in your face with a camera and interviewing you on top of practices and everything else. Effort plays. That's why the Philadelphia Eagles won. This is the Full Court Press. I am your host, Drew Duncan. Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram is all at DrewDuncan83. Don't forget to tell Alexa to play the Full Court Press by Drew Duncan on Spreaker Radio. Don't you dare touch that dial.